What's good, YouTube? Coming at you live from Disneyland in the future. This is John Moore, and I want to talk to you today about a huge issue we've been facing in our secondary market, and that's the rise of our collector's market. 3 years ago, cards were nothing like this. You could find things very, very cheaply, like this Metamorphosis, probably for around $30. This Delinquent Duo, you could buy for like $2 to $5 depending on the person. So let's go ahead and talk about the rise of our collector's market, why it's happening, and what's going on with it. We've got two major factors here, and they really drive it home: nostalgia and greed. These two factors combined make for a very deadly force, and I think at the end of the day, it's actually driven by nostalgia. Now, of course, supply and demand's a huge factor here. We have very, very few of these old cards, and we have a huge demand for them. So buyouts are easy targets. They're old, they're ancient. Some players are younger than these cards that they're trying to get. And to find that near mint, it's near impossible. First Ed LOB, for example, even if you have the money, tends to be sold out on the market. And let's look at these two cards, Delinquent Duo and Metamorphosis. Even the common Metamorphosis has risen to, I want to say, about $4, and with that is some insanity. You used to be able to get the entire GOAT format deck when Christopher Perovic introduced the format back and popularized it a couple of years ago. You used to get the entire deck at a base of just $20, not even kidding. And now, if we look at these prices, Delinquent Duo's a minimum of $20 itself. That's for the Unlimited Ultra. The Super is actually a little bit more. And if you're wanting to bling out your deck, the entire deck is probably somewhere near $2,000. Hollow Metamorphoses, if you want to play 2 to 3, you're looking at nearly $300 to $450 almost. These are the lowest available prices online. It's just insane. So what's happening here is we have a bunch of people clinging to nostalgia, a format pass that you can only play with your friends. Yes, you can money match and make money, but hollowing out your deck does nothing for that. It's people who really enjoy the past and past formats that are gone. These are cards that are banned, unlikely to come back, and even if they became unbanned, when Magician of Faith Super got unbanned, it actually went down in price because the demand went up, and then vendors started hunting it down, and vendors started selling them because they have an overhead. That's kind of just the crazy thing that happens. So if this came, like, if they got eroded, obviously they're not going to get played. That won't affect the price too much. But another really good example of nostalgia and playability and greed is Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar is a minimum of $500 on the secondary market mint. You don't see one pop up under that usually, and if you do, it sells pretty darn fast. This is again in GOAT format, but it has another combination with it. It's Tournament Pack 2. The Tournament Packs kind of have that collector sense. It's the first kind of hard to get pack you could only get from playing in locals, and then the amount of near mint ones that exist, very, very, very low. And there's other packs like this. We have Retro Pack and DRO4, and the supply's always been a little low for these, but the demand was also low until recently. People wanted to complete these sets. Collectors that are looking back, people that got into the game later and said, I want a piece of history, look at this, and it drives it up. Now, that's not to say it's not because of buyouts also. People will look at cards from DRO4 and see that there's a low quantity and get the last of them just to hold them. It's not vendors that you actually need to worry about. It's these group of people online that actually sit around, camp out, and look for targeted cards like this and are like, well, if we buy these out, none will exist, and eventually it'll go up. But nostalgia is the driving factor that comes next. Nostalgia makes people want to actually pay the new premium to get this in hand instead of waiting for the people to have to sell them. And the people in these groups can sit around, but vendors need to meet their overhead. They need to flip. The vendors aren't the ones doing this targeted buyouts. It's actually just people at home who have nothing but time and say, you know what? I'd like to keep this for a while and see what happens. And at worst, they figure they'll probably break even, lose on fees and shipping, and that's it. But at best, they're taking it way to the bank. And speaking of vendors and nostalgia, Adam Korn, he's one of my favorite because you constantly see on Market Watch, despite whatever cards he has, he's one of the lowest. Why? He has an overhead to keep. He wants to continue to buy cards from his customers, and he's always going after it. He is hustling. That's what vendors do. They hustle. They have to keep flipping, keep getting their money back, keep going. They can't just hold on to cards forever and hope that they go up, because they need to meet their customers' needs. They need to make sure you guys are okay if they're doing their job right. And I really like that about vendors. Vendors get a really bad rap in this community because they're just tied together with the people who are doing these crazy buyouts. It's typically not them. And I think the ultimate example here of both nostalgia, playability, greed, everything combined is Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. It was low for a while, but it naturally went up over time. People tried to buy this out to the point that it was 20 when the new stuff got announced, but it's fallen back down a bit. It's not really top tier meta anymore. It doesn't really appear in our metagame at all. But people want to have a piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history where they can say, I'm summoning Blue Eyes monsters, White Lightning attack. And the same holds true for the Dark Magician deck. It was very expensive until its reprints. And that nostalgia feeling is going to sell the Legendary Deck 3 very, very, very well. Everybody's been waiting for it to get it cheap, and they'll have it, and prices over time from that set will go up, as with the past Legendary decks. Now, I have a few things pulled up here that I wanted to show you guys on other sets that are good examples of why nostalgia can actually trump greed. These are not cards that are commonly bought out, and they did have higher prices at one point, but look at the quantity of Amulet Dragon. 52. The secret sits at $7.11 moderately play, light play. It's actually higher than the current price we have, and I'll pull that up for you. But look, Ayatamias, $16 for the Unlimiteds, not even first eds. Chilling here, secret rare when it's coming out common soon. And it already has a lower rarity, an ultra rare reprint that sat at $1 forever and has risen above $5. It's this nostalgic feeling towards the original anime that people are willing to pay to have a piece of the anime with them, even if they're not playing with these cards, even if they're not using them. And of course, ooh, the Dark Magician girl, with some skin showing, why not? I would want that, right? But she sits up at a higher price, demands a higher price when she has a lower rarity, is getting reprinted common again also. They just chill up here. And speaking of a piece of nostalgia, look at this set. You see other sets like Shadow Specters, where there's not really any nostalgia tie-in, and those booster packs, you can get an entire box for like $20 to $30 now. It's not all product that does this, but a nostalgic set like this with amazing art and cards that you can possibly get that remind you of the show, look at the lowest pack. That's actually insane. It's really hard to get these cards. And that Amulet Dragon price for you guys, let's just look at it real quick. $8. It demands $8 when it does relatively nothing in our meta and has no hype following it, and is also, I believe, getting a common reprint. Another good example are the Legendary Collection worlds. So they have playable cards like these Raigekis, and we even go through and we can see other nostalgic sets like Retro Pack 1 and DB1 and how the prices are affected there. But if we actually go and look at the Legendary Collections, outside playability, nostalgia sells these sets completely. Dark Magician Girl for the secret rare art, its market price sits at $18.48. Dark Paladin now has commons that you guys can get, commons, and yet it still sits here demanding a market price of $15. Blackluster Soldier recently got put to 2 on the ban list. That's more understandable. But you have cards that are only used for GOAT format that aren't even their highest rarity technically. Graceful Charity has a Hobby League, yet this sits at $6.40. We've got Harpy's Feather Duster, not unbanned, sits above its market price apparently. And Dark Magician of Chaos, rarely played anymore after its errata, it actually still chills at almost $5. It's just crazy to me how some of these sets, and you can still go into Walmarts and find these on the shelves. It happens. They're actually there because they got reprinted. That's why there's an unlimited print. Yet it still just sells so well. Now we look over here at the other Legendary Collection, Joey's World, the one with a little less nostalgia and hype, but it has cards like Scapegoat, again, coming in at $10. These aren't just targeted by vendors. This took a while to get up here. And it does happen somewhat because people sit around and buy them out, but it's also the demand that keeps it up from nostalgia. So when you ask me what actually factors into the prices, is it greed or is it nostalgia? nostalgia keeps our prices up rather than greed. That's my opinion on the matter. What do you guys think? Do you think the buyouts, the cause of the price spike, keeps the price demanded there? They can't continue to buy it out if somebody's not buying it over here on the other side. And that's just facts to me. I think nostalgia truly does drive our collector's market more than greed. And that's why it is a collector's market, guys. That's my opinion. But again, what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this conversation as well? It's a market that's widely exploded over the past 3 years. Crazy things have happened. It's gone through multiple sets. DRO4, Battles of Legend is a perfect example of like the opposite kind of set here, where it's all playability, almost no nostalgia, and the prices are super low on some of our most playable cards. I think this is just kind of the example that nostalgia sells. Actually, one more perfect example, if we come over here and look at our new Red Eyes cards from our Legendary Duelist set. I believe they're some of the highest priced Red Eyes cards there are. Yeah, look, Red Eyes Baby Dragon, $16, and it's done nothing relative to the meta. And I believe the 4 highest priced cards in here are all Red Eyes cards. We got Red Eyes Baby Dragon, Gear Free, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, Red Eyes Fang with Chain, and Red Eyes Slash Dragon. I believe Duels Pack come with like 6 Ultras per box, and the box is actually maintaining somewhat value, and these are selling. They've been selling, and it's kind of just crazy how that nostalgic feel of Red Eyes versus these cards, such as Gear Freed and Red Eyes Baby Dragon, just demand insane prices for doing nothing to the meta because they have ties to the show. Thanks for watching, guys.